source of Factiva.com.
Warren Olney back with To the Point. America's H1B program allows U.S. companies to hire foreign workers skilled in specialty occupations, including science and technology and medicine and the law. Last week in Wisconsin, President Trump signed an executive order called Buy America, Hire America.
Right now, widespread abuse in our immigration system is allowing American workers of all backgrounds to be replaced by workers brought in from other countries to fill the same job for sometimes less pay. This will stop. The policy of our government is to aggressively promote and use American-made goods and to ensure that American labor is hired to do the job.
Laura Meckler covers immigration and demographics for the Wall Street Journal. Great to have you on our program. Thanks for joining us.
Hey.
Let me turn to Rajiv S. Khanna. He is a managing attorney at the law offices of Rajiv S. Khanna, where he specializes in immigration, and he's also a columnist for The Hill. Good to have you on our program.
Thank you, sir.
Are you concerned about what the president is saying and about this perception that, in fact, the H-1B program is being used to hire people to come to this country and take American jobs?
The biggest problem I see, and I have pointed it out in my op-ed on The Hill, we don't have enough study of the problem. We have a pervasive, all-encompassing feeling that something is wrong with the system and companies are coming in and taking advantage of U.S. workers. If you took the case of, for instance, the top 2 or 3 Indian companies like Infosys, Tata, etc., you're looking at only about 8% of the total H-1s issued. What happens to the other 92%? We just don't know. We don't have enough data, and my fear is if we apply a remedy without knowing the problem, we are going to make things 100 times worse. And government has not been known to have a consistent, coherent immigration policy over the last 30 years that I've been practicing.
Mr. Khanna, what do you mean when you say that the wrong remedy could make things 100 times worse?
United States of America, our main edge here is our intellectual talent, our intellectual property. We do not have an edge in manufacturing, as we know. If we are not careful about what we are doing with our skilled workers, and by the way, I want to point one thing out in addition to what Laura just said. I'm just quoting from the data from the 2014 report released by USCIS. According to USCIS, 72% of H-1Bs were for bachelor's degree. I'm sorry, let me restate that. 43% were masters, 45% were bachelors, and 8% were PhDs. These are highly qualified people. In fact, you cannot get a bachelor's degree, you cannot get an H-1B for a job that does not minimally require a bachelor's degree in a specific subject. So a BA in economics would qualify you, a BA in liberal arts will not. These are all people who are coming in and they are useful from day one. That's something that we need to understand. Now, when we talk about applying a remedy without knowing what the issue is, we are likely to stumble, and I don't think we can. Already Canada has increased its number of professional visas and ease by, according to which we can get an H-1B visa. The H-1B equivalent of Canadian visa. So other countries would jump into any vacuum that we leave. We've got to be careful with it.
Okay, so we're talking about 2 categories of people who already have degrees coming to do work and people coming to here for education. Let me go back to the first category and ask Mr. Khanna, what about the argument that we heard from Laura Meckler that there are Americans, certainly who have bachelor degrees, who can't find jobs, and perhaps some that can't find, who have master's degrees and PhDs as well. Why should foreigners be allowed to come and take the jobs that they otherwise would fill?
I am not an economist, nor am I an expert in human population and how people look for jobs and what kind of people are looking for jobs. All I can tell you is what I see as a lawyer. It costs, on an average, about $8,000 for a 50-employee company to hire an H-1 worker. Why would somebody want to hire an H-1 worker if there were U.S. workers available for the job? That's the question I ask myself, and I'm not sure I have the answer. That's why I started by saying we just don't have enough data. If we have U.S. workers available, of course we want to hire locally. We do not want to bring in people from outside. But assuming that we have U.S. workers is itself something that's a construct of politics rather than reality. Why would high-tech jobs, for instance, stay open for months on end, as opposed to other jobs that go 30% to 40% times faster? This is Department of Labor data as I know it. So it doesn't make sense. Reality and perception seem to be quite divergent. I think we need to bring them closer together.
So, Laura, let me go back to Rajiv Khanna, an attorney who came from India originally a long time ago and specializes in immigration law. He's also a columnist for The Hill. What choices do Indian students have other than the United States? Are they going to Canada?
Canada, UK, Australia, New Zealand are some of our favorite destinations.
And how many and to what extent do you think there's been a real erosion of people coming to this country?
Well, I get phone calls from people in India. I also get tweets. People who are already here are asking me, should we just go home? Is there any use staying on in the United States? Because a person with a master's degree, it will take them about 8 years or 9 years to get a green card. People with bachelor's degrees can go 13, 14 years to get a green card. So people are beginning to wonder if it is worth staying in the United States after having worked here for decades, or should they just go back to their home countries? Because job opportunities in India are pretty good. There's no country like the United States of America as far as quality of life is concerned. That is one of the prime reasons people come here. What is going to happen in the future? Margaret can better address that. Jason has addressed that. I think you can see the trends from the way the students are behaving. And I am getting calls. For instance, Muslim students. They are very, very leery about coming to the United States because of what appears to be a policy of targeting Muslim populations. So I really don't know how it's going to go in the future, but it doesn't look good right now.
Rajiv Khanna, you said that the United States has a quality of life that can't be exceeded. Are there people who've gone back to India and improved the situation there as a result of the education and the cultural exposure that they got here in this country?
My teacher of administrative law in my faculty back in India, where I did my first degree of law, was a Harvard graduate professor who was probably the biggest motivator in my life. I went from college straight to the Supreme Court of India. He was one of the people who encouraged me to do so. He said, you can do it. It is not usually done, but then you don't have to be confined to what can be done. You should go and try to do it on your own. He was one of the primary motivators for me to come to the United States. So there are plenty of people who have gone back, and even if they do not go back, if they stay in the United States, are they not creating more opportunities for other people, for local economy? I think the question about going back or staying here should be secondary. First, we need to understand what are the H-1B visas are being used for, because not only are high-tech people using them, you've got companies hiring in-house, you've got doctors, you've got professors, you've got school teachers. These visas are being used by very many different kinds of people.
Okay, so Laura Meckler with the Wall Street Journal. Many thanks for being with us. Rajiv Khanna, an attorney specializing in immigration, columnist for The Hill. Margaret Everett, the Vice Provost for International Affairs, Dean of Graduate Studies at Portland State University, and Professor Jason Lane at the State University of New York in Albany, where he is co-director of the Cross-Border Education Research Team. It's great to have you all on our program.